Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 339. I am Brendan. Dana White Contender Series, Season 7, Episode 10. This is the finale, all right? I had to Picard myself here. Anyway, we're going to cover all the fights on this card. We're going to break them all down round by round, talk about who got contracts. One little weird one, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to it. If you're looking for a specific fight breakdown, timestamps are down below. Let's get started. All right. So, Ramon Taveras versus Cortavious, Romious. This fight did not last long. Both guys come out right in the middle, throwing heat. Taveras landed a hard left hand, putting Romious down at one point, and then he gets back up, hits him again, hits him with a right, hits him with a. They're just swinging in the middle. There's very little technique going on. I know there's some technique. I get it because Taveras didn't get hit very much, and then he lands another left hand and puts him down, and that is the last one, puts him out. So he gets a second shot because he obviously gets a contract, but he gets a rematch a guy that he fought earlier in the season, and there was an early stoppage. We talked about it in week, I think it was week 5. Serhi Sidi, yeah, week 5. Right? So if you're interested in that breakdown, go back and watch that one. But anyway, he gets to rematch the guy, which is a unique experience. It's fun. It's also good that he got another shot on the series itself to get a contract. It was really cool. All right, moving on. Let's fly through these. We actually have a lot to go. Andre Lima versus Rickson. Zenidim. Oh boy, this fight was a stinker. It was not Lima's fault. Okay, they exchanged leg kicks to start. Zenidim bouncing left and right, staying on the outside, circling the cage, and I never like that to begin with, unless you are using it to set up an attack, and he didn't. He just played defense the whole time. It's incredibly frustrating. Even when a guy does that and throws out 1 or 2 attacks, I hate that fighting style because it's 90% defense and 10% offense. The problem is you create these fights where you can lose a majority of the round or a majority of the fight and then land one big shot and then change everything, and then you get all these opportunities and you get all these things, but it's not a consistent winning style. Like, you eventually hit a roadblock. So if you put together a couple wins in a shallow division or against, step up on short notice, and you take on a guy who throws caution to the wind, and then you catch him, you can get an opportunity that you probably wouldn't have gotten if you had to work your way up through the division, because like I said, that fighting style is not consistent for most people. Like, you have to be a special kind of striker and counter striker to make that work consistently over a career enough to be a consistent winner. Right now, I'm not talking about like split decision wins going your way. No, it's hard to do that. So anyway, Lima takes the first round 10-9 easy. Same thing in the second round. Really boring to watch. Trying to corral him. He just couldn't get Zenidim to sit still. Couldn't get him to throw back. Outlanded him in the first round 22-13. Second round 15-9. And the last round 24-3. There were some takedowns involved. We do not have to break down this fight any more than we already have. He wins 30-27. Easy peasy. Easy to score. He gets the contract, which was interesting. He gets a contract because the guy ran away from him, but he showed skills and urgency to finish the fight. Meanwhile, we'll get into it. A guy who didn't get a contract, who's the same age, and we'll talk about it. Conor Matthews versus Jair Farias. This fight went the distance. Matthews catches a kick, kicks out the leg and gets on top. Farias was able to work his way up. 2:20 left in the round, and he gets back up, lands a nice right hand. Matthews lands a hard left hand, staggering Farias, who runs to the cage, runs around the cage and runs away to get to the center. Farias with the low kicks. He turned his back quite a bit in this fight. That Alistair Overeem style where you just turn and run away. It's an effective technique, and it can work, especially when done in small bursts. Matthews looked undeterred from, taking some of the bigger shots that he did and kept the pressure on and kicking to the body and landing that left hand. And both guys landed really hard. Matthews seemed to stumble at one point in this first round. Like, he got staggered pretty good. Matthews is very hittable. He was not moving his head off the center line. His pressure is what saved him. Farias, I gave him that first round. Now, if you look at the striking numbers here, they're dead even. And look at the grappling, obviously in favor of Matthews. It really came down to damage for me. Now, the total strikes did go in favor of Matthews, and it was close. It was a very close round. So if you gave this to Matthews, I got no problem with that. That makes sense to me. But I gave it to Farias because I felt like he landed the better strikes. I felt like he did more damage with his strikes. I think the reason why he ended up losing this fight in the long run came a lot down to optics. Second round here, Matthews with the same pressure. Farias fights his way off the fence, landing some good hard shots, but then Matthews just plants and lands a hard left and makes him back up. So Matthews he gets a takedown, gets on top, gets a back, slides off the back, but he goes for a reverse triangle attempt, or an inverted triangle? Reverse triangle. Anyway, he's sliding off the back, throws up the triangle, doesn't get it, but that was a legitimate submission attempt. Farias was fighting his way off the fence, swinging big. He was trying to do stuff this round. He was getting tired. He wasn't landing clean, and Matthews was able to keep that pressure on. 31-17 for striking numbers, and I had it even going to the third, given the edge in this round to Matthews. The last round here, Matthews right back in his face, landing kicks to the body, landing a hard right straight. Farias was starting to unload in the middle of the round, landing nasty shots, but ends up getting taken down. These guys are way too tired at featherweight. Honestly, I didn't like the way it looked. If this happens at heavyweight, it's one thing, but when this happens at featherweight, some of the lighter weight classes, it gives me pause, because you shouldn't be getting tired at featherweight. Like, I know, yes, fighting's tiring. I am not saying that I'm some crazy specimen who's going to out-cardio the best of them. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is, compared to his contemporaries, like the people he's going to be fighting, people don't really get tired a lot at featherweight. They will, once in a while, you'll see a couple guys get tired, but usually because of that, they have some crazy fighting style or some crazy fight that they're in. This wasn't that, and they were both exhausted. Not a great look. Last round here, Farias looked tired, but he started to pick it up as the round went on. I am surprised to see the striking numbers here in favor of Matthews, 34-25. I thought Farias outlanded him here. I really did. I thought that he did more damage in this round, and in fact, I leaned toward giving him this round. Two of the judges gave it 30-27 in favor of Matthews, and Chris Lieben gave it 29-28. It'll be interesting to see which round he gave to him. Matthews, that first round was close anyway, so, if you had him win in the first two rounds, easy peasy. But this last round, I felt like Farias was doing the damage with his things. Yes, I think what Matthews probably landed a lot. Yeah, he landed 11 kicks to the body. He went to the body really well. He went to the legs. And yeah, they were adding up. But the thing is, like, none of them made him, I guess if you count him as he winces. When I was scoring it live, that's how I scored it. If you gave that last round to Matthews, I understand that one too. There's no bad scorecard there. It really came down to perception and how you scored each punch. Fun fight to watch, and he gets a contract. Let's see here. All right, Yuri Panferov versus Torrez Finney. Okay, so this one was weird. Not the fight itself. The fight was, pretty straightforward. One guy just kept moving forward. The other guy eventually wilted. So first round here, Finney with their jerky movement, Panferov landing a nice left hand. Finney picks up Panferov, carries him around, and tries to get a slam, but he carried him around too long, couldn't slam him down nice. So I didn't really give him credit for damage on that. A little bit, but nothing that he could have slammed him right away. Got some crazy damage. So Finney on the double leg, Panferov trying to land elbows to defend. Panferov with a hard knee to the body, lands two hard hooks, staggering Finney at one point. Finney on the lift and slam, but just could not keep Panferov down. He couldn't keep him down for any significant period of time. You look at the control time, it was 4 minutes, but most of that was cage control. It was not on top on the ground. And all the damage went one way in this round. You look at the striking numbers, 15-0 in favor of Panferov. Not even, I don't know, he did land total strikes, some of them, but Finney did not land any significant strikes this round. Clearly went to Panferov. You cannot score that for Finney. He did 0 damage with his position. Now, if you gave him a little bit of credit for that one sort of slam, I understand, but it did not outweigh the 15 strikes that he took, especially those really hard ones. Okay. So 10-9 for Panferov. It really came down to could Finney combine both of them. Finney, could he impose his will? And that's exactly what he did here in the second round, right? So he pressured him. They exchange hooks. Finney gets another double leg, and then he starts to use his left hand when he had dominant position instead of just holding and grappling. So Finney picks him up and walks him across and slams him down, gets to the back. He gets to the back multiple times and then eventually gets a rear naked choke finish. A fantastic fight. I thought he looked great. Yes, he had some holes in his game, but it wasn't so bad that I would deny him a contract. And that's exactly what happened. Dana White says, you're 24, you're young, and you're clearly a tank and blah, 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 but I see holes in your game. Okay, well, how are you going to give Finney, or you're going to give Finney the cold shoulder here when you just gave Lima the contract? Andre Lima, same age, right? Whether you want to talk about potential or whatever, I'm not gonna say I'm a better talent scout than anybody in the UFC, especially Dana White, but just his reasoning for giving the Lima the contract, saying you brought the fight to him and he was just trying to avoid the fight. Yeah, but what did you get to see? You just got to see him kick and try to chase him down. Like, what are you really looking for here? What are you watching? Because from what I saw from Finney, as far as I'm concerned, I think he's UFC ready. I don't think he's, based off what he has now yet. Yeah, he has a couple holes in his game, but he fixed them mid-fight. He literally corrected all of his mistakes from the first round in the second round of the same fight and got the finish. How can you be mad at that? How does he not end up with a contract here? And Dana White's reasoning, or his rationale behind him not being ready is like, oh, I'd be doing you a disservice by letting you in the UFC. Would you though? I mean, yes, if you took him into the UFC and you put him up for a title shot or put him into the top 5 and fed him to the wolves, yeah, I would say, yeah, you're doing a guy a disservice. But if you just give him some other guy who's also on his UFC debut, or someone who's like 0-2 or 0-1 in the UFC, I don't see how that necessarily hurts him. Now, he is right about him being 24 and him having other opportunities, and he's going to get better and come back. I'm sure that's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, what if it doesn't? What if something happens in one of those fights that he's in, and it doesn't happen in the UFC, and he never makes it to the UFC, he never gets some money, never gets a notoriety, never gets to put that on his resume or whatever when he's coaching in the future? You could have just given him the contract here and brought him in the same way you did with Lima. In fact, I thought his fight was more impressive than Lima's. I thought, he looked like he was bringing the fight to him, and he won it fair and square. He won it with a finish. He corrected his mistakes. I feel bad for Finney. I think Finney does have a great future, but I'd like to see in the UFC. Miguel Mederos versus Issa Isakov. Or Issa Isakov. Mederos in his face, landing the low kick. Isakov dives in on a double, gets a body lock. Mederos gets free, staying in tight with a nice 1-2. Mederos is so active using the low kick, throwing out that tight combo, and Mederos lands a knee to Isakov and gets him down, and he is out. And that was the second one of the night. Second one of the night of those. That's crazy. So we'll talk about that now. Lucas Rocha versus Davi Bittencourt. So this one also ended the same way. Really similar fights. Different round. So first round here, Lucas missed weight a couple weeks ago, or last week, and that's why they had to reschedule and go up a weight class or whatever. So that puts him behind the 8 ball here, and based off his performance, I guess I could give it to him. Maybe because he's younger. I don't know. But anyway, Davi was powerful. He's got this amazing fro. You can't turn that down. I think you should give him a contract just for the hair. Anyway, Bittencourt with the teep kicks and chasing Rocha down. Rocha getting the front headlock and then gets reversed with Bittencourt just going to the body. Lots of grappling in this first round. Bittencourt outstruck him 20-2. I thought he looked like the more complete fighter. I think Rocha didn't get lucky with the knee that he landed, but I feel like that knee, definitely. Because he lands one in the second round. Well, the thing was, Bittencourt was throwing a right hand and got caught by the knee. It wasn't even going for a takedown. So it's not luck. It was planned. It was a counter knee. But my point is, I feel like Bittencourt was a more well-rounded fighter, and he was looking really good. And, if he doesn't land that knee, does he land one later? Does he catch him later? Maybe. But Bittencourt didn't look like he was getting tired. He didn't look like he was getting outstruck or anything crazy. It looked like he was going to dominate this fight. So good on Lucas for landing that, but that's why I mean though, that's what I mean about knocking the contract, right? So he missed because he missed weight. But he got the contract. If he missed weight a week ago and he's already, like I said, behind the 8 ball where he has to really come out here and press, that was nothing about this fight that really impressed me. Like, his takedown defense was okay, but the thing is, it doesn't really make a fight. It doesn't make a fighter. He caught him with one shot. He didn't tune him up on the feet. He wasn't outstriking him or making him look like a fool or outclassing him in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it showed like he has a ton of holes in his game too. So the same logic you applied to Finney later is, I see holes in his game. He's relatively young, blah, blah, blah. Well, this guy's also really young. He's 20. He's only 23. He missed weight, so he has discipline issues. I mean, he didn't come out here and really show it. Like, he got the finish, so like, how do you deny him, I guess? But that's the thing, is you denied Finney the same episode. I think Finney, I'm really just upset because Finney didn't get the contract. Finney went out there impressed. I thought based off of how he performed in that first round, I figured he was going to gas out, and in the second round, he was going to get finished. And he came out there and made his corrections and got the finish himself. Like, that's impressive, doing that, making the correction in one round. Immediately makes a correction, does exactly what his coaches are asking, and gets a finish. So, fun night of fights, fun season of Dana White Contender Series. Let me know if you guys want me to cover something else on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from now on. So, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. I'd appreciate it. Hope you guys have an amazing week, and I love y'all.